Okay, so going to start building out a Jabberwocky toolhead. I have the kit right here. This is the one that we're going to be building. Uh, Also have a pre-built one that I'm going to compare it to. This is actually probably the next one I'm actually going to install, because that printer that I was going to put it on, computer board on it just decided to crap out yesterday, so I will probably be installing that sometime this week, hopefully. But anyway, here's the color scheme I went for. This is actually going on a primarily purple and black printer. So a little bit different colors. This is more of a light gray with sparkles. This is the Polymaker one. I have all the parts printed here, and then this is the color of that printer. That's that purple color. It's kind of nice. It's actually by far my favorite printer that I have. It does need a new belt, so won't be installing it tonight, but I do have a new belt for it as well. I also I'm going to be changing out the idlers. So that's why it's a little bit bigger of a project. I also have the beefy front idlers that I will be putting on it as well. But that is not a project for today. No, it is 9:45 on the East Coast, so I will not be doing that. Do have two bits that I'll be using, the 2.5 and the 2mm. I like to use a little bit. I mean, it's not a very powerful electric screwdriver, but it's a little bit faster than like the wow sticks or anything like that. I do have something like a wow stick. I will say though, this was it TS101, something like that. This is my favorite soldering iron. And I primarily do use it for the heat certs, but I have used it for soldering, and it is fantastic, and it is very quick. And we will be using that shortly with this wire that's being dangling from the screen. But whatever, it's not the best setup, but it is a new setup. And get the keyboard out of the way, and we can get started. All right. First and foremost, we will be going here to the website. On here, there's the actual assembly instructions are here. I will say that my one complaint from previous two builds that I have is that assembly instructions are obviously not usually up to date with the latest parts, and I've also found some weird oddities of where sometimes it tells you to there's on the very bottom here where it tells you to put in the little bearing. It tells you to install it twice. So, well, I don't know if they've been updated since then, but it's okay if it hasn't. I know it's not my first build, so we'll figure it out. Don't need actually. I don't think I'll. The only thing I need from here is probably going to be the board, because we won't be installing this tonight. So I'll take out the board from the Nighthawk. I have been tempted actually to replace the Nighthawk entirely on the other ones with the EBB 36 Gen 2. Waiting on a little bit more information on those, but yeah, let me see if I can get these in frame a little bit. There we go, a little bit better. Okay, got the conch tool head. Should probably give a little bit of background on the other two machines I have this installed. One of them I've actually had a little bit of trouble tuning, and then the other one I haven't even been able to get it to print at all, because I can't get it to do the quad gantry. I actually same issue on both machines, but I was able to figure it out. Just haven't plugged in the second machine to update it and get it to do the quad gantry slower. But that's essentially what I was looking to possibly switch out the Nighthawk with the EBB, is that it runs USB or CAN bus, and so does the cartographer. So I could literally try them both in USB or CAN bus mode without too much difficulty there. One thing that was updated with batch 2 is that the amount of bags that come in here are far less. So that's always a great sign. So first thing I like to do is usually like lay out everything. I know I won't be using the blades anytime immediately. Same with the zip ties, but I will be using these slide-in nuts. I'm not the biggest fan of these sliding nuts. I would rather have the threaded inserts everywhere versus the slided nuts. Mainly on the part here, because it falls out. It's in this axis, this axis, the top, and then slide in here. And you're putting them in before you're assembling really anything, and they fall out all the time. It's just, you'll see it. They'll fall out probably a few times tonight while I'm installing it. Just kind of getting everything ready. Actually, I don't really need that yet. Let's jump into the actual assembly. Okay, so I'm going to start with the threaded inserts because that's where I actually like getting started with anyway. As I usually go through, like if I'm building a Voron or something like that, I'll go and check out the pages with the threaded inserts because they mark them in the beginning of their documents. That's another thing, is that the documentation on here is web-based and on GitHub, and there's a wiki instead of, PDF. I like having the PDF. That is just a personal preference. It's not a problem with the actual wikis. It's what I prefer. All right. And it makes sense for it to be on the wiki. This is an ever-evolving product, so it's easier to update the wiki than probably the PDF. But if you want to be kind of technical, like I guess personal preference, I prefer the yellow ones. So as you can see, I just plugged this in. It's already at temperature, so that's kind of what I like about this one, is that it's immediate. And I can just use any USB-C cable. Well, not any, but I like the one that actually it came with. It's a pretty nice USB-C cable. But I have over here a little USB charger, and of course I dropped one. USB power output, and it's got 4 USB-A's, 4 USB-C's, where I think 2 of the USB-C's are PD output, and I have this one in that PD output. So it's like my generic go-to high charging cable, but this is actually the cable that came with it, and I really like it. It's kind of nice because it's soft and very flexible. All right, let's go. You install the 4 slide-in nuts, and they're gonna fall out. There's no way to really keep them just in. Let me go through and find some more heat inserts. Okay, I think we're good with the heated inserts for a while, so I'm going to disconnect that and leave it off to the side. There we go. And now we're going to take our slide-in nuts, which are here. And fortunately for batch 2, this is far less bags. The first batch, the bags are just absolutely insane. And it's very difficult to keep up with it. But a lot of them, like this project, has updated quite a bit since. So it's also Been simplified as far as parts of the installation. Parts have been more robust, so all that stuff. So let's get this. Use 4 in there. These, I'll just push it in a little bit. And where's the last one? There it is. I'm using the 2mm one to push it in. Actually, that's still not all the way in. There we go. Got it. Maybe this has been shrunk. I couldn't tell the difference between the V81 and the V80. I have the V80 here as well. But I will say that these nuts are not falling out. So maybe that was an update to it. And it's a quality of life update. So very nice. Okay. So next step is to get our tool. So this is going to be the tool that we're going to use for this. And actually, I don't see the other tool. Did I not print the other one? I should have it. I do not see it. Well done. I forgot this part too. That's part of Jabberwocky. Yeah. Let me go check real quick. I don't have it. Oh well. Well, we'll figure something out. Okay. We need the MR84ZZ bearing. That's MR63. We'll need that for later on. Here it is. MR84ZZ 2-piece. There's one. And we'll need this. It's going to go on this side. And to be honest, I don't really like the part that I don't have anyway, because it seems to always cause issues. So let's get our nuts. Okay. M3 nut, X nut. Put on the back of this. And we need says a 35mm. That's what that other piece. Here's the 35mm. Huh. I have spare screws here. It's a little standoff for the beds. This is actually going to work very nicely because it's metal and it'll fit right through. So actually, this would probably be better than the 3D printed tool that I don't have and I did not print. So here we go. Get this in. Get that started. Just kind of get it started over here. So it gets a little tight. Okay, so the bearing's not quite in yet. You can see it right there. I'm just going to take a screwdriver and our 2.5mm one and just go in until, actually I have to hold it. And that is it. You can see that the bearing's fully pressed in, and all we do is now back it off. I had wished I used this the first time, so there you go. Makeshift tool. This is actually, highly recommend this. Anybody who's interested, use the little knurled nut from the Voron bed, and that'll work a lot nicer than the 3D printed part. There we go. There we go. See? Nice and flush. Beautiful. All right. So now we go in. We take our peak sleeve. Peak sleeve. We need our orbital gear. Right. And we need the M4 by 18 dowel. Alright, be careful, there are two sizes of these dowels, at least from earlier kits. I don't know if that's changed. The size on them does matter because there's one that is shorter. So this is the one that I need now, but here we go. The other one's 16mm, and this one's 18. The step takes the 18. Don't make that mistake. I did on the very first build. I thought I had the right one, and I of course did not. But there's also 50mm bags in the first one, so in the first batch. So, all right. I was worried about that. I'm pushing out the bearing, trying to go through the back. Let's not do that. Push it through the front. Okay. Probably would use a hammer. Be essentially flush on the back, and now we can put our bearing, our peak sleeve, and our orbiter bearing. There we go, all set. Yep. I think we're good. We can continue on. There's no difference between these two orbital bearings. They're both non-threaded, so you know, doesn't matter which one you use. All right, so now we need the other M4 by 18. Take this out. Okay. We need actually this part now. We need to push in the other bearing. So where did I put you out bearing? There it is. This one goes in easier. It's not as harder to push in. Okay, and we need our Bondtech integrated 4417. There we go. And there we go. Yeah, this isn't really on there very tight, but that's okay. All right, cruising along. All right, so let's first, before I go and put the ECAS on there, let's go and put the M3 by 10 button head screws in. And since this is a relatively small build, I'm leaving them in the bags labeled. If I were building like a big printer or something like that, I would do the, whatchamacallit. I'd use like a little tin like this, and I label them. Very helpful for something big like that. Alright, so we'll take this, we'll take these, and put them together. I'm just going to put that there. And just make sure everything spins freely. But I'm going to hammer that down a little bit more. There. Still spins freely, and we're good to go. Now let's put in our two since they're button head, they are M2. Alright. Oops, that's going backwards. There we go. So I usually don't do the final tightening with the screwdriver. It's a little too powerful for that. I torque it down by hand, but you can still use it like that to torque it down. Which is actually moving really nicely. Alright. Next comes the magnets. I have some super glue here for that. I promise I did think of things ahead of time. Just didn't think about that one piece that I hated. So, alright. Alright, that's a lot of glue. I have activator 2. I hate using the activator because it tints everything white immediately. So let's first go in and take our magnet out. And actually, yeah. I like putting it on like another screw or something like that. And napkins. Get the magnet off, and I'll put it back in the baggie for the magnets. Actually, you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea to, since we have the glue out, just do the other piece too. And the reason why I can glue this first and not worry about it is because this is not a fast acting super glue. And the polarities of these should be so that they are opposite and they do not attract each other. And of course, I screwed that up. But since it's not fast acting, I have time to flip it. Alright. There we go. Now that is ready to go. So the magnets are done. So not a pro tip. Just get the magnets out of the way while you have the super glue out. Alright, next step. Oh, forgot. Put this in. We do not need the little bottom on this, so I'm gonna. One actually came with the bottom already off, so I'm just gonna use that one for this. And that's it. Ready to go. We are moving along. All right. So next comes the other bearing. Now it should switch over to the window every now and then. Let's see. There we go. So next is going to be this this piece right here, the guidler. Okay, so we have, and this is one piece that actually I've noticed is actually different from the part that came, the pre-assembled batch. So I'll actually pull that out real quick to kind of show you that. But I noticed that it's backwards. It's kind of interesting. So here we go. So here's the pre-assembled one. Oh. Great. So one other thing that I haven't printed yet is actually this cover. I might even swap it out on this one anyway. But one thing you'll notice is that on the one from, actually no, it is right. It's the same. I thought it got printed on the inside though. Huh. I think I just have it installed wrong on the one that I printed. But I have this screw, I have it on the inside on my other one. I thought that's where it went on the other one. Maybe I have an older version. You know what? It might be an older version. This is, I guess, technically a batch 2 production. But I know I have this screw is actually on the inside on the first one that I built. So that actually is right. Never mind. I take that back. Alright, so we need the 16 millimeter M4 by 16. We have our peak, our dowel, and our idler. So our gear. Sorry. So put this in here. Slide it in. Now, nice thing is that it won't fall out. There is one way to put it in, and then just gotta press it in. And that's it. Spins freely, good to go. Now we need our tiny screw, which is our flathead M3 by 6. Put that in. And that also takes this M2. I'm just going to do it by hand. Doesn't matter. That's going to be something that we tune after once it's on the printer. So no biggie there. All right. Next is to actually put it on the assembly. So we have this. This goes right in there. We have our LDO branded captive tension screw. So we'll take that one. And the nice thing is that it's captive, like this isn't going to fall out. So just going to loosely put that on right now. Again, that's something we'll tune later. One thing we probably want to test though is that the filament path is correct. Actually, you know what? It's another thing. So if you notice that it is there. Okay. So that screw, that the one in here likes to slide back and forth. So if you don't find it, it's because it has slidden away. So now that'll actually stop. And then we need also this M3 by 20 socket head screw. M3 by 20 socket head screw. And this takes the 2.5 millimeter head, and we flip this over. And it goes through that hole. And this doesn't really need any tension on it. You can see it's like perfectly fitting in there. That's it. That's all we need. Let's go. I'm gonna go and grab some. Actually, you know what? Let's do the next step because it uses these F68 2XZZ bearing. And it's going to go through the bottom. I'm going to put this in, and then I'm going to go grab some filament to test putting it through the system. So go flip this upside down. This just goes right in here. And I'm just going to take the M2 and just push it through. And that's it. Now, you should be able to see right through the, like, if you actually like take your eyesight and peek it through, you should be able to see through both ends. But let's actually test it and show you. grabbed the roll of PTG that I'll be using for the later on. Look at that. It goes right through. Boom. I like that sound too. Alright, so we are ready to proceed. The extruder is pretty much done. Alright. Now we get into some of the electronics. This is fun. Alright. And the nice thing is that these are all wired, so it's really not that bad. There are some tricky bits, though. We are going to need these eventually. Let's get this piece right out of here. So here's that. And like the one thing that like you do not see in the image is like which direction this goes, but obviously it should only go one direction like that. So we'll have that. Boom. Next comes the two switches. So we'll grab those. That's the blue and the yellow with the black ground wire. We'll want to pay attention to the direction of this, I believe. Yeah. So if we flip it over, right? So inside of the picture, we need to have these facing this direction. Like this. So where the trigger for the switch is on the left-hand side when it's on the back. So we need to have it sandwiched like that. So we need to get the screws for that. It's these M2 by 10s. Ooh, yeah. There we go. We got 4 of them. Perfect. Actually, you know what? These take the 1.5, but I don't have that with me. Forgot all about that. Gotta get another screwdriver. Okay. So this is my really bent Harbor Freight ones. Since this is smaller than filament, I actually use this a lot to unclog hot ends sometimes. So it's also covered in some old plastic too. Alright, so let's go. Alright, and then, so what I think I've done in the past is I fed it the LED wire through in between the top one. And this is essentially the top and bottom filament path, filament sensors. So we'll need to know that when we're programming it later, that that's not going to be tonight. Tighten it up. One thing you notice is that the wiring goes in front of the LED, and guess what? It makes no difference. It's totally fine. You'll never see it behind the diffuser, so it's totally okay. My cat decided to pay us a visit, so she's wondering what I'm doing with her. She's playing with some screws on the floor that I dropped earlier. Okay, and these don't need to go tight. They just need to go in. One thing you'll notice is that I have like a discard pile on the right, on my right, and unused parts on the left. So like, I'll take this, since I don't have another flathead screw, we'll put it over there. And then things that are to be used or currently in use, I'll keep them in the middle. In fact, let's put this 35mm one away, so it's back in the bag. And I accidentally took out another M2x10. We'll put that one away as well. Boom. And then these are the bearings that we'll use, I think, in the next step. So. All right. So let's grab our piece right here. And then all of the wiring is going to go through the top. So you'll notice that on here, the LED is still very much exposed in the front. So all this goes through the top. It's going to go through this channel on the extruder and a little bit. And this is the piece that I haven't printed out yet. I'll do that later. Okay, now scary blades time. And you can do this probably later on if you want to. But that's okay. We'll follow the instructions in the order that they are. So we'll take this and open it. And we'll take ours. So ironically, this is the part that I was most intrigued about on the Jabberwocky Toolhead, was that it has a full-size blade. So I don't actually have to cut this. All right. So there we go. It's in there. And then here's our piece. Now, you'll want to make sure that this is printed out fine. In fact, we may have to pause here if this one actually isn't. I won't really know until I try to insert this blade. But if your settings aren't dialed in just right, you'll have some issues with this. So let's try to put it in and see how we do. Yep, I think I'm probably gonna have to reprint this part. Yep, I accidentally split it. But I'm going to take it over and see what the problem is. See, this is the bottom. This prints just fine. The print's supposed to hold it in just like that. What I keep forgetting to do is the profile that I have to rotate it so that it goes across like this. Otherwise it tries to print it at a 45-degree angle in mid-air and I get a blockage that I cannot see. there's no way for me to know it's blocked until I try to put it in. Essentially, I need to rotate this part when I print it, and I always forget to do so. Alright, so we won't be doing that part anyway tonight, and the reason why I can't just print it now, it's a quick piece, that the printer's already printing right now. In fact, the printer, this particular tool head is going in, is actively printing right now. So I won't be able to use that. It's actually printing the mount that it will be going in, and I'm just gonna quickly pull up. Oh, that's not the printer. It's a different printer. This is the printer. It's almost done. So you can kind of see the print screen. The color scheme I have is that purple. It's currently got a stealth burner with a Galileo 2 extruder. Actually, I really like the Galileo 2 extruder. I just hate the SB2040 board that I have in there. And as you can tell, I have another printer that's down just because I can't even. It shorted out. Like, essentially, it just crapped out on me yesterday, and that's this one right here. It failed mid-print, and I was messing with it, and then it just died. I heard some sparks. So that one is probably going to be the next one to actually get the... Since that one is actually orange, it's going to get this one and just drop it in. One of the nice things is that since we have this, we can actually look at how everything's routed in the back, so that we can actually use that for guidance on this. All right. Next, let's skip that, and we have our arm. We can install this arm now and just, in fact, I can even put the screw into place. So it takes this M2 by 16 screw. Let's put it in. You know what? We can actually use this part as a placeholder, even though we'll still have to reprint it. It's a really easy part to get to and replace later on, because, you know, this is a printer for multi-material that is intentionally designed to be easy to do maintenance on. So hold it in the orientation. So this is down. That goes there. And we will put that through that hole. There we go. And yes, this takes a while. That's essentially too tight for what we will ultimately be doing, but that's okay. Well, we're going to be replacing it later. So let's get this part out and drop in our 63 ZZ bearings. And then these are your filament sensors, or the part that's going to trigger the filament sensor on there. So just put that on there. And okay. So let's start with the wiring. I'm just going to feed the wires one by one through here. Alright, the LED ones are all going to go once. One of our bearings fell out. That's okay. Those are easy to put back in. And now our filament sensor wires. I'm just using my thumbnail to just get it started in the path. Alright, there we go. So that one's ready. We can pull it from there, and now that's ready to go. What we'll do is, once we get this all screwed in, we'll take the filament again, run it through, and make sure that we can hear the clicking on both of them. But I've never had an issue with it not clicking, so we should be good to go. All right. So in the top, so is the M3 by 12. Let's get that. M3 by 12. Throw that away. This goes up in this top left corner. Actually, let's get our M2 bit. And this goes into the last of the slide-in nuts that we did on the top cover. All right. Next, we need M3 by 40, which is this one, and the other ones are M3 by 35. All right, so M3 by 40 goes all the way over here. And let's put that. Okay, and then there's a pretty long screw, so let's use, and this does not need to go tight. Okay, so it reached the threaded insert in the back. You know what? I think I know. I wonder if there. No, there's no plastic in there. It should work. Yep, that's working just fine. It just sounds awful. All right, so that's in, and now we need our two 35s. Our one remaining one in there. Okay, and these take the M2 by 5. So let's do that. All right. In. And then this one doesn't actually have anything to screw into. Did I forget a threaded insert? Hang on. Let's take a look. That's going to piss me off if I forgot a threaded insert. talking about this one right here. Looks like it should get a threaded insert, but it doesn't. Huh. And then we actually need to pull this one out because I forgot about the latch. There we go. That one looks good. Alright, I think we are golden. That's it. Alright, then we have to loosen this, open that up so that we can fit in our M3x8. That's going to be one of the motor mounts. That's going to connect to one of the motor mounts. There we go. All right. Now we got a busy step. Let's do our standoffs. So, and then I'm wondering if this is actually in the standoff might be in a with yeah, it's in the Nighthawk box. Oh, put the Nighthawk box over here. Oops. Sorry about that. My keyboard fell. Oh, you know what? The other thing I wanted to do was test the filament. I see the filament. Let's grab that. Let's see if we can hear it. I can hear the top one. I think we're good. All right. Let's get these done. All right, we got our standoffs. These are actually mixed in with some jumpers. Which we do not need the jumpers for our current application. Actually, the standoffs actually come up after the motor. So let's get the motor. And then we want to think about how we mount the wiring for the motor. It's not in the diagram, but fortunately we have this to go off of. We can see that the wiring for the motor is at like 10 degrees. So we'll do it that way. Let's get this started. Yeah, that screw is definitely not long enough. That's supposed to be the motor mount screw. That's not the right screw for that. Oh, I know it's wrong. I have it in the wrong spot. Right. No, the 40 is this one. This is definitely not the right size screw though. So that's supposed to be the motor mount screw, and it's not going through. Let's take a peek back and see what I screwed up. Alright. Maybe it's 45. Alright. 45. Ah. That's why. Here's the 45. I was gonna say. The button screw was the 40. That's in the right spot. So this one's not in the right spot. That's okay. This is actually going to work out nicely because it was like a little placeholder for us. And we got that tightened. Get this one in. Get it all tightened. Make sure it spins nicely. I can tell that it's, if you spin this, you should be able to see that the little circle on the gear is spinning too. And that's how you can tell you have good contact. That it's spinning freely and that it's also spinning the motor. Should be good like that. Okay. Good. Now we can actually put this back in. Put that down. Actually, there we go. Yeah, you got to make sure that that LDO slide-in nut is correct. And this is looking very promising. There we go. Now we get in our knurled nuts. Let me scroll down on the page so we get to that. Nuts. And probably an easy way to do this would be to, actually, let me not use this really long screw. Let me get a M8 because I'm going to use the M8s right afterwards. All right. We need our two M8s. But essentially, screw on your M8 to the knurled nut. You can tighten it. Just gonna go here, tighten it until it's done, and then now, there you go. Try to hold it. There we go. Now it's not like super tight, but it's on there. Okay, I will do the same thing for this. Go. All right. Tighten it. And hold it and break it with the screwdriver. There we go. Great. Now we need this piece. This is going to hold our Nighthawk. Let's put the screw in. Put this to tighten. Just get it started. There we go. And I will say that I'm not a huge... I wish there were more than 2 points. Like, I know this is a very common setup, but I wish there was like another like standoff here between these two to kind of hold that in. Because actually this one's more sturdy than the other ones. My other printer, I know I'm gonna have to disassemble that one and redo it. One, because these parts are updated, and I don't want to wear out the parts on that one, because it's not exactly. This is probably something I probably never would have done. Is bought something where the parts aren't really easily accessible. I mean, I know there's replacement parts available, but yeah, they're not that easy to come by. Like, you have to get them basically wherever you got the Toolhead. They should have some replacements or spares, and you have to contact them for that type of thing. So anyway, there we go. This is ready to go. Let's put on our Nighthawk. So got it. I know I pulled that one. There it is. Our PCB board. And obviously you can do this at the very end when you have all the wiring, but we're going to follow the instructions in the order that they tell us to. You have the option here to do 2 or 4 screws. I'm going to do 4. I like having the 4 because 2 of them are basically like slide them in and then you screw the top. Like, so these 2 bottom ones slide in and then you screw it in. You can just use the ones on the top, but this is kind of nice for like alignment purposes. I like having these as well. And I know it sounds like I've screwed up a bunch on this live stream, but I will say that this is the smoothest that these Jabberwocky builds have gone so far. And it actually, the parts feel a little bit better. I know they've been updated quite a bit. So I will say that. And then you just tighten the ones that you use to guide it in. And you're all set. Sturdy board. Alright. We already tested the filament path. I kind of jumped the gun on that one. But let's put in our guide here. Here it is. So this is another flathead screw. It's a longer one, and it's to hold the strain relief. I will say this is Possibly also another reason why it's gone so much smoothly is because there isn't as many parts. Or baggies, I mean. Like, it's a lot nicer. Okay. And yes, it is supposed to bend and fall down. It's a little annoying to look at and everything, but that is actually its normal function. It provides strain relief by constantly going like this while the printer is going front and back away from where your cable is fed in. Some parts that we no longer need, I know these washers, we'll see them in the kit, don't need them. We will need a lot of these M3x8s still to come, and let's proceed on. So now we can put this off to the side. And now we get to bust out our handy dandy soldering iron again. And here's our... Alright. Oh, actually, no, we don't have to bust out our soldering iron. This was updated to use a slide-in nut. We need it for this one, though. Let's pull out... Let's get our... And this one obviously is not an easy one to do because it's a essentially a side one. You can't go straight. Put it in frame. You can't go straight down. You have to go from the side. But that's fine. Still works. Would have probably been helpful is actually to put this from this side because you have access to it, but that is not how it's supposed to be put in. I'm just going to make sure that alright. Now we can put our soldering iron off to the side again. Disconnected. There we go. And then one thing I like to do as well, if I see that the plastic has melted a little bit around the hole, just to make sure this is eventually, I mean, it says it's supposed to get an M3x8. I've actually had better luck with a longer screw, but this is actually going to come in from behind the carriage to tighten and give you a really sturdy tool head on the printer. I like to kind of just make sure that it's threaded and good to go. There's no issue with the path. The nut is not coming out, so we're good to go. And this part. All right. Next is the LEDs for the front. So I'd actually just put it in there for storage so I didn't lose it. This also takes a very, very tiny screw, and I don't think it's on there very tight. So, and of course I dropped it. Okay, very, very tiny screw. Let me make sure that that's the right one. It is. Okay. Might be helpful to pre-thread this before you put in the PCB, so it's like ready to go, but I would be very gentle. Another option is to just glue it in place, because the one thing that is confusing is You gotta make sure you get the right the LEDs in there on the right direction. That's also something I've had to undo and redo it. So maybe not glue it in is if you're gonna get it wrong, don't glue it. So you're absolutely certain you have it correct. Then you can glue it. All right. I'm actually going to use the other side of the screw, or the driver. There we go. There we go. All right, so now it's ready to go. Let's get our LEDs. And then this is the part that's confusing. It's like which side goes on which. All right, does it go this way? Does it go this way? Well, and I swear I've looked at the diagrams before and I don't get it right the first time. So it may be helpful to actually have this out and think about how the wiring is going to be. So this side needs to be the longer side because it's got to go through here. It's got a longer path to go. And this is actually the side that's going to be plugging into the... Yeah. Alright, so we're thinking about it this way. That has to go like this. The longer side. And there was actually a version of this part that I really liked. And it had a little nub for the PCB. And it just snapped into place. That's how the first one I did. And I cannot find that file anymore. The first time I printed the parts, I had a different computer. I actually just built this computer not too long ago. Alright, so that's in. Now let's feed it through. Just pushes into place. Okay, one side goes through and just comes out through that little channel here on the right, which we're going to push in the fans here in a little bit and secure it in place, but essentially that goes through there, and then these go through this side and have a lot longer pathway to go. But we're going to push the fans to get it before we feed it. And then here you can see this wiring for reference. Oh yeah, let's get that fan in there. Let's get the axial fan as well. This is pretty easy. There's a little opening here on the right. That's where the axial fan goes, and that's just a push into place. So that's going to come out through this side over here on the right. And what else do we have? We have That's new. Let's get our blower fans. Does not matter which one of these goes. They're both the same length, I believe. Right? Yes, does not matter. Fan 1, fan 2. Does not matter which side you go. So one thing to note is obviously this part's going to be on the outside. So we're just going to slide that one in like this and make sure that all of the wiring is underneath, and then just push it down. Okay, so that one's done. Now we got to make sure that this wiring goes through. Push that down. So maybe started the little pathway that it's going to go through. And there we go. Yeah, this might have been a good idea to tape it before doing it. That's okay. This one will just go like that. And now we just got to route some wires. Actually, we don't even have to do that. We can do the conch first. Let's do the conch first. All right. Here's our conch. I think these come with replaceable in batch 2. Ah, see? That is replaceable. So the first 2 that I have, that's not a replaceable part. So this one theoretically should have a lower throughput than the other ones. Also, that just looks like a hardened steel nozzle instead of, and same with, so this one also has that same nozzle. It does not look the same as the other one. The other 2 from batch 1 has a different type of it's like brass with the carbide nozzle in the middle, so the nozzle looks different, but it's not, those are actually built in. These are replaceable. All right, so let's get our piece here, and we're gonna take these actually out of the channel and slide this down. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Obligatory Jabberwocky. Hey. Let's go back here. And this goes like this. That's the back end. Yeah, there we go. And if we want to take a look at this, see where it kind of goes, is that it just fits through over here on the right. So you can just leave that as is. And let's put in the screws that are supposed to be in there, which are M2.5 by 8, which are these. Actually, those are the ones I think that are supposed to go through the top. Oh no, these are the ones that go on the bottom. Okay. So this makes it a little bit easier to replace the hot end, because once you slide this in, it's hard to get it out, and then the screws to get out the pieces are here on the side. But if you screw it in in the back, you can actually take this piece out, just undo these two screws, and slide out the hot end, and you're good to go. These into, yeah. There we go. There's one. And let's get the second one in there. There. Beautiful. Wait a second. This has been updated. I think the wiring is supposed to go out through the top. That is new to me, so let me update that. Because I like that idea of having it up there instead of to the side. So let me swap that up. Put these wires back through the channel. Now here's the one. Oh, okay. I was wondering if the juice was going to be worth the squeeze. It looked like it was going to be kind of hard to get it through that channel, but I got it. Go. So one question I would like to probably answer now that I'm on my third and final build of these. Would I do it again? Probably not. I'm gonna be honest, it's been kind of a pain to get one of them kind of tuned, and I think I'm just having slipping gears. However, this one is starting to sound like a lot better. But it's the, revisions of the parts over and over again that they were not ready, and it wasn't in a place I thought it was. There's kits being, made up and sent over from LDO. You think that you're pretty much close to a final, build, and then there were a lot of issues that came up with wear and tear. And granted, not always can you see the wear and tear ahead of time. In fact, actually, I'm not sure if this is in the directions, but before we do the wiring, actually, we have to do R2. But basically, the wear and tear that came up and, prompting more revisions, while that's great because, there's active development and everything, it's also not great because now you have worn out parts, you have an inactive printer, and you have to wait to get replacement parts. It's not something that you can just easily go on and grab online, like through Amazon or something like that. I will say that they did accurately cut that now. I was going to check to see if that was something that was changed. I had to modify the first two that I did because it was not the correct size at all. Alright. Push this bearing in. And that has to obviously go in before you put in the wires because you're going to block up that channel. So, yeah, now I'm just kind of going through memory and not even paying attention too much at the directions, but not good, not good. Don't be like me. I am looking over and following along the pictures, but the wiring sometimes is not always like the wiring diagram. Like there isn't one. I actually figured out how to wire it by just pulling up the sample config and I mean some of it's pretty obvious for the Nighthawk. Just get the Nighthawk's like the little image with the pinouts. I don't know. You can follow along pretty easily. Alright. This is not hot, so it's not plugged in. So I'm just going to use this to kind of gently push it down. There we go. Because I got to make room for this wire here that also goes through that same channel. Actually, since these wires were actually smaller, I probably should have put them in first and then the LED wires, but that's okay. Is that what they did here? Yeah. So the pre-built one, actually, let me do that. That's a smarter way to do it. Take these back out. Wire the fan first because the wires are really, really small. And you can keep them in place with the LED wires. Okay, there's one wire. There's the other wire. Alright, let's do this one at a time. Let's go red. This also seems like an excessive amount of wires to run this side, where it's definitely a lot harder. Like, why couldn't the PCB, like, and I get the design of the PCB. The PCB has like two sides to it. One is going to go to jumper to the front, and the other one is going to go to the board. Why'd they have to be split up? Like, like whenever you see like the other Voron LEDs, one side goes to the board and then it terminates on the other side. Like this one has like a weird numbering pattern for the LEDs down here, and the one for the status and the behind the, like in front of the extruder. Okay. Now we have all of our wires pushed in and they're all in their correct spot. You can choose to use one of the, I'm going to use one now just to put it together and keep it all tidy. But some of our I want it this way. Yeah, there we go. And just clip it off so it's nice and ready to go. All right, that actually looks pretty decent. I like that. I might switch this part out. The first one that I built, I don't think I can because I used the two nuts going across the top. I'm going to see if I can switch it out or not, but that, I like that. I like this having this up here instead of like this. I don't think I'll switch this one out because this also has them going across the top, so this isn't really that removable. Yay, we're flying. All right, so now we can combine the two parts together. And this is pretty easy. Just gotta make sure you have your wiring off to the side. Oh, you know what? That doesn't go there. It goes through that one. And this might be where loosening will help. There we go. It's loosened. And I don't have that bleed in there, obviously. So. Oh, missing. I missed a step too. I noticed that it didn't need the. But I never actually put it in. Let's put that in. Push that in, and that takes a, what is it? Where is it? This one. M3 by 25. Okay. M3 by 25. There we go. Start off to the right. This just goes right in there. And this takes like 2.5. I'm just gonna. This isn't like really to hold it together. This is just a clamping spot for this. There we go. And then we're gonna just tighten this a little bit. Hey, that looks like a Jabberwocky to me. Of course. I noticed this on one of them. What I may do is actually just glue the LED piece in so it stays in. So we'll fix the flatness on there. Because It's the side with the really long cable, and getting these axial fans out is not easy. Like, everything's easy to maintenance on the extruder side. Everything from the bottom side, impossible to maintenance. That's another thing. If you have a fan go or something like that, not going to be fun to try to replace that down the road. I'm just going to have the glue. Might as well try it. A little dab. And push it in. Hold it. And there we go. Perfect. Alright, next would be to mount it. I'm going to do the wiring since we have another one to do, and I'm not going to be mounting it anyway right now. So yeah, let's do the one part cooling fan is on the end, the other one's on the other end. So let's grab the other part cooling fan. It's LEDs. Oh, you know what? We have these LEDs that need to go together. Like this part is a little weird too, right? Why do we have to connect two different LEDs like this? Okay. Alright, here's the other part cooling fan. Let's take that. Route it underneath. It goes all the way on this end, over here. Alright. We got our motor. Here's our motor, which goes underneath here. Motor mount goes right. Motor connector is right there on the top. All right. We got bottom. It's actually on the bottom. Top goes on the top, and then again, these might actually be wrong, but we can just switch it. We'll fix it in post, if you will. We'll just swap out the pins inside of the config, so it's not a big deal if you get them backwards. You don't have to disassemble it, just fix it in the config. Alright. This is a thermistor. This thermistor goes right next to the first part cooling fan one that we did. There we go. Just have our LEDs, which go here, and then I will be using a hardwired switch for the x-axis. I've tried sensorless homing. I do not like it. Like I liked it on my Prusas. Worked very well on my Prusas, but did not work well on my Vorons. That's 100% me not spending enough time tuning that, but I just do not care enough to get it in there just right. Alright, we got just our, I need a flathead, and the wiring is done for now. So if you're using an X end stop, it would go here next to the LEDs. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then the cartographer, if you're using a USB cartographer, would go there. And that is the wiring. Alright, let me switch to just the overhead. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to get a flathead. Alright. One thing you always got to check before you put in these hot end wires, when you look in there, that's closed, like entirely closed. You got to open it first. So, first got to open it. Now if you can see that, like, there's a channel there now to actually put these wires. There was a channel there before, but it's won't make good contact. Like, in order for you to to get it tight, you would have to essentially put it in that channel and then loosen it. If you're doing lefty tighty, righty loosey, you're doing it wrong. So, there we go. Just put that nice and tight. And now let's do some more cleanup. So just grab some more of these zip ties. Okay. So then let's take a look. Got some wires are through this one. Actually, there's not a whole lot of wires are through that one. There's the LED wires go through there. If I can get it to go around. And oh wait, I'm missing. Oh, I'm missing another fan wire. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Missed one. A hot end fan. And this hot end fan actually has a tack on it. So there we go. That's all the wires that are long enough for that one. Make sure we get the hot end fan and the LED wires through here. you. And where's the other wire? Actually, this one is also the bottom wire. Let me take this one out. Wire it this way. This one kind of goes on the pre-built one all the way through the bottom. It's over here. And plug it in. Fan and our LED wires. There's one. That's definitely going to be the harder one of the two. The other one has a lot more wires right by it, so. This one actually goes through this wire. One of the nice things about the Nighthawk, which I actually don't really have that much good things to say about it, but since it's not CAN and it's USB, it's discovered immediately as soon as you plug it in. I mean, it's already pre-flashed with Clipper and everything. So as far as that, you're ready to go. There we go. Looks good. This is all. I mean, there's no blade in there because this is obviously broken. But yeah, it's ready to go. Just need to get our clear piece to go in there, and our blade holder sliced at 45-degree angle for me. And this is ready to install sometime. Actually, no. Let's go with the cart. Let's go with installing the cartographer parts. I've opened 3 of them. Installed 2. One, this one's not open, so this one's got to be the one with the, yeah. So when I was having issues homing one of the, or doing quad gantry, I thought it might have been like, oh, I have a bad cartographer. Let me try it with another one. That was not the issue. So this should still be good. Right. Let's go into 2.4 Trident. All right, so here's our documentation for the mounts. Also, the mounts that I'm going to print for this are, there's obviously no instructions for it. They're brand new, I guess, in testing, but at least it should be, from my understanding, easier and ready to go. Like, where's our part? I dropped it earlier. All right, so this is going to take 4 heated inserts. We don't need our. This is going to have 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. So grab our 4. Grab our soldering iron. Everything else out of the way. And let's plug in our soldering iron and get it all hot again. Which only takes like 5 seconds. And then, since these are more standard to put in, I like having like a nice firm grip on something when I'm doing these, and then pushing straight down. Another thing you can do, which I'm not going to do because I like this table, but if you have like if you're building a Voron, one of the recommended things to have is like a nice slab of like tile, to something that you know is going to be flat, and you just push it down the last little bit to ensure that you get a nice flush threaded insert. Sorry, the tile is for building the Voron frame, so you have a flush place to do it. But what I like to do is use that flush tile and push the insert in the last little bit. There we go. And I won't be using those mounts. I do have the mounts here, but the newest ones are a little bit nicer. Also, some of the things that have changed is these also take slide-in nuts. Previous versions, these took in, actually you can see it on the, right here, they used to take, well, that's this piece. These still take threaded inserts in them, but I'm not going to use the threaded inserts in these because I'm not going to use them. I'm going to try the other ones first. All right, and then this just gets mounted like this, but we would use the screws that came with the cartographer. So, oh, that one is the new one that hasn't been opened. Where's my box? Of course, I dropped everything. All right. This might take me a little bit. Oh, here we go. So this one has the screws. Also, when using the cartographer, you do not want to use a metal brush, but they give you like that bamboo A1 style silicone brush. So I'm going to start using those as well. But I haven't printed out any of those parts yet for that. Get that all back in there. Put this back in the photographer box and put that away. Alright, so gets mounted on this side. Just need the 2mm one. Yeah, one thing I wouldn't be looking forward to on switching over to an EB36 would be having to redo the wiring. I'm hoping I might pick one up just to see if the wires are long enough, but I would prefer to switch to that one. That one does both USB and CAN, so you can actually choose to do USB like the Nighthawk or CAN bus. Since the whole reason why I would actually even do it is because I'm having issues with the cartographers and the communication through USB. I think it has 100% to do with the Nighthawk. I don't really think it's anything an issue with the CAN bus, mainly because I've seen them, or the cartographer, because I've seen cartographer, do a lot of fast homing and everything like that, and I have to slow down the printer to an insanely slow speed. But it does work very well with printer that I do have it working. When it's going slow, it is working just fine. So no real issues on that sense. Essentially, this piece goes under there. You would route the wires for the cartographer through here and your end stop, which another piece, the thing I would complain about this part is that this hole on the top part is never long enough on the stock pieces. Which one's the original? This is the original. Like if I were to use the M2x10 screw to put in my X end stop, it's not deep enough. However, this one looks deeper, a little bit deeper. I'm not sure if that was actually a change when it was made, but the parts that I'm printing out now are definitely deeper. So it looks like I won't split essentially what I would have to do is pre-drill this piece, because I've broken it a couple times trying to feed that through, and it stops just a little short. So just take a really small drill bit and drill it out a little bit just for that top screw. But yeah, that's installing Jabberwocky, and I'll probably put it on the printer sometime this week. But I have a lot of things to do, and right now it's the only functioning one. Or it's not the only functioning one. It's the best functioning one right now. So I think what I'll do is probably take my orange one apart and put this one on instead, since this is ready to go. All I would have to do is change the wiring. In fact, there's a XT30 2+2 wire already on it for the board that's there, However, since it shorted out and I've recently replaced that wire and it still caused issues, I don't think I want to keep that wiring from the other manufacturer. So I'll probably be rewiring that one, but that is that. It's a wrap. Oh, one thing that's to note, if you get the pre-built one, there's still some printing you will have to do. It doesn't come with all of the parts. So, obviously the mounting, all of this does not come with it. And the other weird thing that doesn't come with it is the strain relief part. It's not included. It's nowhere in the, it's not in the box anywhere. Look into these pieces, it's not in here anywhere either. Yeah, it's just like a weird omission from for that is to not have that printed part. I mean, it fits in the box nicely because it's not there, but I mean, since it folds over, they could have included it with no problem. So I just want to make sure that, like, I'm not stupid. Like, it's not like just with the screw that it's supposed to come with. Just kind of going through this real quick. No, there's the screw. So it's not with the screw. It is a little weird that they give you so much of like the parts that you would need to assemble it. It's like they give you the whole assembly kit, even though all the screws and stuff are already installed. So that's a little weird. But I mean, I will not complain about that. I have the little bins like this, and I just stick all of the extra parts in the bins. One for M5 and one for M3s. From previous printer builds and stuff like that. But yeah, the wiring is super quick with the what we call it, Nighthawk. Essentially, just here's your PC, your USB breakout board. So there's an extra fuse that comes in the box. So, but essentially, you print out the little case that holds this. This is the cable that goes to the actual tool head, and then you wire 2 cables to your PSU, and then the USB to your Pi, and that's it. And it comes with all the cables that you need. So this goes to the PSU, to your Pi, and that's the wiring. And since it's USB, it'll be recognized essentially immediately. As long as there's no real issues with the board, and it has Clipper installed, so all you have to do is run like your programming to find USB devices, and it'll be all set. Actually, let me put this back in there. So thank you, everyone. If you didn't get any questions, but if anybody wants to see the build, installing on the printer, I'll try to make that work. Might be a little hard to get that. I do have a tripod, so it might work. We'll see. I also have, since the whole purpose of having the Jabberwocky is for the tool cutter, I've got some of these to finish building. I started building these a while ago, a couple years ago, for some of them, and I haven't finished any of them. But since I've moved in this house, I came up with a plan, and I'm gonna use the filamentalist for the buffer, and that's gonna save me a lot of space with the cottontail. But yeah, gonna finish building these out. This is the old servo. Never even tried it. I'm not going to. I'm just going to rip that out as well. But I have, this one's mostly assembled. I have an 8-channel that's mostly assembled. So this is all coming out. So yeah, this one's pretty much ready to go, except, again, we're going to swap out the servo. I have a red one that's an actual original ERCF that is built. It just needs to be programmed to run, and then the last one is a purple one for this printer that is not assembled in any way, shape, or form. I thought I had all the parts printed for it, but then I noticed that there's a ERCF version 3, and I should have most of the if not all the parts ready for that. So I might just switch that up. Alrighty. Bye, everyone.